I spent the last night of my second semester laying down by the law school library, looking up into the night sky in awe of how much I had changed since I began just 16 weeks before. Leaving my home in Las Vegas after winter break, I was stressed. After a difficult first semester, I did not want to go back. I didn't like Las Vegas since I didn't know anyone there, and Harvard was stressful. I didn't feel like I had a home anywhere. The night before the new semester began, my friend and I went on a scooter ride to the river. I remember the cathartic release I felt as my friend and I yelled into the water, violently expelling all of the fear and anxiety of what I thought was to come. In a rare event, reality ended up being a lot better than expectations. Just a few weeks in, I began praying every day after being encouraged by one of the missionaries at the Catholic Center. This was a great way for me to see my life not as an entity serving itself, but rather as a part of an infinitely higher will. I began to re-examine my priorities in life. I focused less on academics and more on building relationships with others. I also came to value sleep and exercise more. Additionally, I began to focus more on my role as a mentor to others. I made an extra effort to assist 2 students who I helped with navigating high school. I also went out of my way to talk with several potential students at our admitted students weekend, so they would hopefully have someone to ask questions to if they chose to come to Harvard. This semester I also found an amazing group of friends as I became more involved in the Catholic community. I ended up blocking with, which at Harvard is the process by which you enter upperclassmen housing together, some amazing people from my floor and from my Bible study. These people have helped me come to see Harvard as my home, and not just as a place to get an education. I also pushed my comfort zone in many ways. I actually found the motivation to do work in an activity that I had previously hated so much that I avoided all responsibility in it. I started reaching out to people I had never really talked to before. In our student council, I was one of 3 dissenting votes out of 39 people on a piece of legislation that was effectively a letter condemning Harvard College faith in action. And this semester definitely had its low points. For starters, I bombed my first technical interview so bad that, at one point, after I wrote what I thought was Python code on the whiteboard, one of the most well-known programming languages in the world, they asked me, "What language is this in?" And then also, at times, I struggled with feelings of inadequacy while seeing all of the success of my peers. Though I knew I shouldn't, it became hard to not compare myself to others. In those times, one of the things that was helpful for me was to pray the litany of humility, particularly lines like, that, in the opinion of the world, others may increase and I may decrease. Jesus grant me the grace to desire it. I also had a bit of a personal crisis going into spring break because I realized that, at times, I had trouble being emotionally available to people, largely as a result of a defense mechanism I developed from a young age to deal with the effects of my mother's alcoholism on me growing up. And this carried with it a sense of shame. But one big thing that helped me deal with this was learning to be more forgiving of myself. I talked in one of my college essays about the importance of putting myself in other people's shoes and using that to be more forgiving of them. The same is true for myself. When I mess up, I have to recognize that, given all of the factors in my life and being in the position I am in, that is exactly the decision I would have made. This doesn't remove responsibility for my actions, but it does create acceptance of them. Afterwards, the only thing I can do is learn, but not dwell, and move on. After I got cold laying by the library, I moved inside and sat in an empty lecture hall. It was an eerie feeling, being in such a large, empty room at 1 in the morning. Looking back on the past 16 weeks, it's amazing to me how much I have changed. There's no way I could have predicted everything that's happened to me this semester, but I am incredibly thankful that it did. It is quite possible that the rest of my time in college will not be as pleasant, but there is a season in life for everything. All I can do is keep trying my best. I'm excited for what the next 16 weeks have in store.